The Senate, as you know, passing that $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill now goes to the House, where it may face some challenges in getting approved. Joining us this morning in a CNBC exclusive is Suzanne Clark, CEO of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Suzanne, always good to chat with you. Happy Friday. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning.
I wonder if you were surprised at the nature of which this bill, at least the final word in the Senate, was so bipartisan. Were you impressed with the degree of bipartisan support?
Absolutely. I mean, 69 votes in this environment is a real win and a real testament to the negotiators who produced a real thoughtful debate, asked a bunch of smart questions, and then were able to get something done, proving to Americans that they can get something done in a bipartisan way. And we're thrilled with the outcome. This is going to do a lot for our economy, for economic growth, for American competitiveness. And now we want to see the House get it to the president's desk.
Right. Do you agree with the view that it is going to be tougher sledding?
No, listen, I've been optimistic about getting this done from the beginning. I remain optimistic. This is important. It's important to districts. You know, one kind of underreported fact has been what this does for clean water. It literally gets the lead out of pipes in 10 million homes and 400,000 schools and child care centers. I don't believe any House member is going to go back to their district and say they voted against that.
All right. Well, it obviously is running into some friction in terms of the view that spending is going to be inflationary. As Manchin said earlier in the week, the level of spending we're looking at is something that would be more appropriate for a Great Depression or a Great Recession. How do we get past that view?
Look, I think it's really important that we separate out this really crucial infrastructure bill that does a lot of good work for Americans and America without raising taxes from this $3.5 trillion tax and spending spree that they're calling reconciliation. These are different things. If we want to really worry about inflation in this country, then we got to fight this $3.5 trillion bill. This is nothing but a record tax increase on employers and investors. This is a takeover of our healthcare system. This is a real threat to our recovery and to our future prosperity. And so if we're going to worry about inflation and worry about spending, we have to put together the biggest coalition businesses ever put together and defeat that $3.5 trillion proposal.
Suzanne, just to dig into that a little bit more, I mean, how worried are you about inflation? I mean, in terms of some of the price increases we've seen across quite a number of different industries and products, it's pretty eye-popping right now. And certainly it hurts companies. It also hurts the middle class, which, you know, we know all this policy is, for better or worse, is supposed to be addressing right now. But is it transitory? How much of it is transitory? And to your point, $3.5 trillion spread out over the next handful of years, how much would that add to the situation?
It's exactly the right question, right? So what we're seeing now, we hope could be transitory. We think the Fed has done a good job in a really hard situation. But this type of tax and spend bill could make that type of inflation permanent. And when you think about what we need to be doing as a country right now, this is exactly the wrong course to be taking. And I would add one other thing if you think about price increases, and that's thinking about this worker shortage, right? Really getting Americans back to work, getting child care centers open, expanding access to childcare, making sure schools stay open. Anything we can do to get workers back on the job will also help alleviate this price pressure.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of working parents out there that would like to see the child care situation addressed. That being said, this $3.5 trillion bill, and I realize the devil's in the details, it has a big child care component. Are you behind that, or do you think it needs to be done differently? If so, how different? What would that have to look like?
Again, I think this is one of the big questions that's facing America right now, which is how do we provide good, fair, affordable access to childcare? But we do believe there are a lot of ways that you can get this done without spending $3.5 trillion. You know, Washington starts throwing around these $1 trillion proposals as if it's confetti. That's a really big number. Going back to your specific question on childcare, I hate to relate it back to this, but one thing we really need to see is these vaccine numbers go up, because we know with children not able to get vaccinated, parents are afraid to even access the child care options that are available to them now. So, you know, watching how all of these topics relate, whether it's prices to worker shortage to the vaccines, make it really important that we stay focused on real solutions that get us out of the pandemic, that help with the economic recovery, and don't experiment with with one of the biggest, most radical pieces of tax and spend legislation that we've ever seen. Not the time for that.
Suzanne, a lot of the Chamber's commentary about the labor shortage includes a mention about easier paths to legal immigration as a way to solve that problem. I wonder how much of that is actively getting discussed on the Hill, because it has been a fraught discussion for years. But maybe there's a point at which businesses say, you know what, we're looking for any solution, and we're going to look past some of the cultural rifts in this country.
Look, I mean, this week's numbers, what was it, 10.1 or something million open jobs? That's almost a million more than when I was on this show a month ago. That's a real number. We know some of that is transitory and it's due to the pandemic, but some of it existed before the pandemic. That has to do with a need in this country for better skills training so that we can really get people who want to work into the open jobs that are available. But it also certainly means increasing legal immigration. And look, we've been heartened to see some conversations on the Hill, some bipartisan efforts to come together on border security, on legal immigration, on having pathways to both things that I think allow bipartisan compromise.
Suzanne, something that I suspect many of the businesses that you represent are watching very closely right now is what the future is going to look like for M&A and deal making in this country, given the fact that we've gotten some pretty strong, pretty hawkish comments from the new chair of the FTC, Lena Khan. I mean, just yesterday, shares of Aerojet Rocketdyne and Lockheed Martin sold off because of expectation in the market now that that deal could be in jeopardy. How are companies approaching this topic, given the fact that this is an administration that's taking a very strong, very, I guess, aggressive tact towards consolidation?
You know, it's so interesting as a viewer of your show, right? We've all been watching this hot M&A activity all year and capital looking for a home and watching some big deals come together that I think have been important for the economy. We're talking about infrastructure and the deals that are available in that space, and they're important. I hear from business leaders every day who are very concerned about this executive order on competition, this concept that our economy is stagnant, that we need the government to step in and help assure a level playing field. It's just not what we're seeing every day with new business starts, with new business ideas, with real competition in the market. And so this idea that we need the government to come in and look at 72 different industries to enable agencies to look backwards and forwards at deals is just a massive overreach and something the U.S. Chamber will be fighting strongly.
A lot of things on your plate, Suzanne, and we love having you come in and helping us understand where the Chamber sits on many of them. Good to see you. Have a great weekend.
Thanks so much. Happy Friday.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.